Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Drop Frames. We're joined. Wait, Cohh, please introduce our guest.
We are joined by the Barry Carlyon from the United Kingdom.
Do you have a
That's it?
stroke at the end of that? I don't know what happened.
I'm pretty sure that's how you say it.
Oh.
You don't need to be disrespectful.
Okay.
Man, I didn't know we were having Alan Moore on the show. I'm so excited. I'm so honored to have you here.
Oh, God. Barry is someone that's been working with kind of all of us. I think started with Cohh, and then I found some work for him, and Zeke's seen him around kind of in both parts of this, and he works for a bunch of other streamers and does a bunch of stuff. And
he works for Twitch now as well.
Hey, he works for Twitch. He's done a bunch of stuff with Twitch. He's kind of been around the block, so to speak, and so we figured let's bring him on. It was actually Zeke's idea. Credit is due.
A work slut. Yeah,
he is. Yeah, he's like the workhouse that makes things happen, and also breaks things constantly, as Cohh and I can both speak to.
Yeah,
but
don't try to break things all the time.
Well, that's how we learn, right? You know, you break things so you can learn. It's true. That's how it goes.
I would be interested to hear how you introduce yourself, Barry.
Yeah.
As it relates to Twitch.
Indeed.
I am Abe, or I am the blah blah blah.
It's a little weird because whenever I go to like TwitchCon or whatever, I don't need to introduce myself because people already know who I am. So I don't need to introduce myself. But when I do,
wow, I like this approach. I'm Barry. I don't need to introduce myself.
No, it was weird. It was like Chris, who's now at DBH, and he was formerly Streamer News. It was the first TwitchCon, and he walked up to me and introduced himself to me because he already knew who I was. But loads of people already knew who Chris was because he was Streamer News, and he's gone on to do other things now.
Right.
But it's like so many other events that I've been to where it's like, you're Barry, right? And I'm like, yes, I don't know who you are. It's just like being a streamer, but I don't stream. I just pop up on everyone's different streams doing bits and pieces and breaking things. So.
Mostly breaking things, yeah. I forgot to mention you've done a bunch of work with Chris Sacriel and the 42nd team over there. So I guess maybe that's where we should go into next in terms of like what you have your hands in when it comes to developing things for streamers. I think for me, you've handled a lot of our automated a lot of our overlay systems. You've kind of put them on I don't know the technical terms. My terms is you've made them all web pages that I can then import into OBS. It makes them much more easier to manipulate, and I don't have to have Photoshop open at all times to do things like that. You've also handled a bunch of our extensions, and you've handled a bunch of our interfaces when it comes to kind of the back end system of streaming. I know for Cohh, and Cohh, I'd love for you to jump in and speak on this. You've kind of done a lot more in terms of the actual second to second aspect of streaming, right?
Yes. Over on my channel, Barry has the title of like lead coder. Essentially, he wears many different hats. He does everything from my custom overlay system. He's part of Tech Team 6, who does all of our overlays, which we change for every game. He also makes almost all of the systems inside our channel. So like our VIP systems, our extension, our token systems. He runs our bots. He does our websites. He does our web pages, our achievement system. If there is something that involves coding that is involved with my channel in pretty much any degree, Barry has either created it or probably heavily consulted on it.
Yeah. And then
I have the access keys to control everything.
Yes, I need to be very good to Barry, as he regularly lets me know. Or he could sync my entire channel pretty much overnight.
That's true.
I mean, I also have approximately the same control over JP's channel.
Yeah. Somewhat.
Has he started threatening you yet?
It's more I threaten him, but it's because I haven't learned my place yet. He still has not tested.
I was going to say it took him cracking the whip, I think 2 or 3 times, but eventually I did learn my place in the global scheme of things. So
that's true.
Yeah, just be ready. Have backups prepared.
Yeah.
And what he's gonna do is wait until you're most vulnerable, most likely, like a big release or something, and then it's gonna be like, hey, why does nothing work? And Barry's like, yeah, why doesn't it?
Yeah. As Zeke has experience though, I have the ability to go live on 18 channels now, all at once, all very large, and have a much bigger reach. Barry does not have that that access. Yeah,
Whatever you do,
that's
do not
Unless-
use those keys.
technically wrong.
fucking shit. The developers talk to each other. You were
No,
not
no,
supposed to do that.
If your OBS is open, I can control it.
God damn it. Well, he's taught me my place now. Cohh, it happened. It happened live on air. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say like prove it, but prove it. Can you do something right now? Like, just
I have to write some code first. We'll give you a couple of
okay.
minutes, and I
I'm
can
trying
just
to
take the stream down.
I'm looking at the overlays right now. I'm trying to see what he could actually manipulate. There's not
When chat just
much.
starts spamming F and Barry just smiles.
Okay, so I can change scenes. I can add and remove sources to the scenes. I can move all the sources around. I can start and stop local recording. I can stop streaming. I can add more browser sources so that I could. I'm not going to go and put porn on. I'm not going to put porn on and get you all tossed at the same time.
Yeah. Hey, good.
But I wouldn't do that because I'm a responsible developer
That's true.
most of the
Yeah,
time.
just look at his, facial hair. He's a super responsible guy.
I'd love to see Barry like do something like this. Be like, oh, is that right? And then just go over here like clackety clack clack clack, and then all of our faces get replaced by like pictures of like asses or something like that. And it says Barry frames like over the top. Like
He just
That's
holds
true.
up like
Just
a
takes over the whole
comically
thing.
large red button, and he just like
Yeah.
beep.
It just has the nuke button, the ruin everything button.
Next time Drop Frames actually falls on April Fool's Day,
You should do
maybe
that.
we'll do something.
That would be great fun. Yeah. You have you have free reign to do such a thing on April 1st.
It took me a solid minute or two on April Fool's Day to realize that Barry had reversed my camera and put me on the top of the screen upside down.
Nice.
I was very confused by my chat. I had no idea what was going on, and that is one of many different things he has done for April.
The nice
I
thing
generally
about
have
that.
no idea.
The nice thing about that is that April 1st happened this year for Drop Frames. So we've got, a couple of years before we're good, before we're ruined, before the show's done effectively.
Done.
Yeah. So
Or we're ripped off the air, kicking and screaming.
It's true. Barry, apart from me and Cohh, you work for Twitch, you do a bunch of stuff with OPG and Chris. Can you expand on kind of what those are? If there's anything different, if there's anything new, and kind of talk about what your role is for all those different groups.
Okay, so my actual day job is that I'm a developer for OP Group. OP Group is a management company who represent people, including but not limited to Cohh and Sacriel. We also represent a lot of different streamers who are not just from Twitch. So we've got a couple on Mixer, a couple on Facebook, and some YouTubers as well. We vary all the different clients that we do, and all clients have different needs and stuff. So my day job is actually a developer for them. But as part of my development day job with OPG, I can do work for OPG clients. So during my day job hours, I will also do work for some of the streamers that I work with. So I'll be doing maintenance work on Cohh stuff, or maintenance work on Sacriel stuff, or any other bits and pieces that I've currently got in the works. So I do a lot of stuff that is not necessarily visible for OPG. So there's things that I'm working on that I can't talk about because it's all internal tooling that we have.
Right.
So when I'm not doing my OPG day job, I'll be working on streamer stuff. So if Cohh's going to be doing Fallout 76 this weekend, so Triwar, the channel artist, is making new art because last time we did Fallout, it was on what we call Overlay 2.0. So it all needs upgrading for Overlay 3.0. So once Triwar's done the art, I will then go and build the overlay for it, and then it'll be all ready to go for the weekend. So my day-to-day for Cohh is mostly overlay management. I'm currently in the middle of rewriting a bunch of our internal stuff for upcoming Twitch changes and stuff, because through my work for working with some of the largest streamers on Twitch, I have garnered contacts inside Twitch, so I generally get ahead of the curve on what's coming up. So there is some bits and pieces coming up that I need to be aware of that will have an impact on various systems. A lot of it's to do with the fact that there is an old API that is going away and the new API is coming in, so the endpoints are changing and the data formats. So a lot of stuff that I'm doing at the moment involves updating to take into account the new API stuff that's coming. And it's all just boring dog's body work, but it has to be done because the APIs are switched around.
Right.
Of course, we've
Well, not only
mentioned
that.
I do work for. Sorry, go.
I was going to say the work he does basically keeps all of us going. So like this is the stuff where if one of those endpoints breaks, then it can mean the difference between an overlay working or just not showing up.
Yeah.
So
the show stops.
pretty damn important. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do similar stuff for Sacril. He only does one main overlay, so he doesn't change it around so much. But I do his currency system and his extension stuff. So that's one of the good things that Twitch has done recently is the extensions platform, because it gives streamers and developers so much more they can do on stream. So like a good example is the data sheets the character sheets that we do for Roll20. We built the whole extension around that, where I automatically pull all of the data out from Roll20, format it, and throw it into a sheet that the viewers of the stream can navigate when they need to.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't have to go into chat and spam chat going, "What's Dan's wisdom?" You can just click on Dan's face and it'll just pop up. So that's one of
he's very wise, by the way.
He's very wise.
Dan is very wise, of course, 100%.
And it's just trying to figure out how to. You go, Zeke.
Okay. Use the term API.
Yeah.
What does that stand for? What does that mean?
API is a developer's. It's a way that I can connect to Twitch and ask it for information. So if you go to the videos page of any streamers, so that'll be twitch.tv, itmeJP, twitch.tv/itmeJP/videos, it comes up with a list of videos for people to click on. If I went to that same page via the API, it comes up in a block of programming stuff, which is easy for me to manipulate, and then I can build my own view of the same data. That's an example of an API. So the data is presented in a way that I can format it and display it to users in a different way. Or I can do statistical stuff, like you want to know how many people watched your VODs last week. You don't want to go through the page and count it all up yourself. I can just run one API request with a little bit of code and add it all up for you. So APIs is a programmer's way of interacting with a website to get and update data. So I can, like for the drop frames in the roleplay shows, I will check the stream titles are set correctly and that the extension is actually loaded up. Yeah. And if they're not, I'll set them myself. So it's one less thing for streamers to worry about because I automate that or I check it manually. But it's all done through the Twitch API, which is just an easier way for me to do things because I just go and it's done. Whereas you'd have to go dashboard, check it, do that, click, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And notice, chat, how Barry, when I asked him what API is, he's used to dealing with streamers. So he didn't just say application programming interface. He said, well, let me give you an analogy that you will understand.
Right.
Which I'm sure goddamn grates on you. You're like, okay, how can I dumb this down? Well, you know how apples are fun and they're food?
The other thing, he does the inverse of it too, Zeke, where at least when I speak with him, I'm like, can we do this so that it does that? And I'm just using like everyday terms. And he's like, yeah, what you actually mean is you want to do this with that. And then I'll use this to make that happen. And I'm just like, I think that's what I said. And then he goes and builds it.
Right.
He goes and builds it. And
the reason, the reason why I wanted to bring it up and why I wanted to get a little more information about it, because there's no other acronym that I see you use, Barry, that makes you talk all in caps. And shout about it. So can you tell us why you shout about it all the time?
Well, right. So I've already mentioned that Twitch is in the middle of changing over the API. So there's currently 3 versions of the API you can use. There's V3, V5. Technically, there's V4 in the middle, and there's Helix. V3 is basically dead. V4 was just VOD uploading, which then got merged into V5 properly. So now you have V5 and Helix. Now, the problem between the two, V5 is also called Kraken. So we'll use Kraken and Helix because it's just easier. The primary problem is that Helix is great, but Helix doesn't have everything that's in Kraken. And also the data that's in Helix is formatted differently in Kraken. So right now, for example, in Helix, I can get your stream, but if your stream's not live, I cannot get your title. I have to go back to Kraken. So at the moment, a lot of us developers were having to use both APIs, which means two entirely different data formats. And then, of
So
course,
if I can make an analogy, it's like working on a car and having empirical and metric in one car, and you're just like, fuck.
yeah. Or the favorite one from 2 weeks ago, when you were talking about Barry can update my title, but can he do the go live notification? Nope.
Right.
There is no API for that. We've asked for one since go live notifications were a thing, and we're still waiting for one.
Well,
And that's normally where I go, fuck Twitch.
yeah.
Because I want it, but it's not there. And whilst there probably is an undocumented API, you're not supposed to use undocumented APIs. And then that brings us back to there is an undocumented API called GQL or GraphQL, which exists and probably has what I need, but I'm not allowed to use it. But GQL would be nice, but we're stuck with Kraken and Helix. And
Right.
we just don't have everything to make everything. We don't have all of the tools that we need so that I can make it easier for streamers to do their job of streaming.
Right. And you know, speaking with people at Twitch, that's one of the things where what you do, Barry, is, you know, there's only a handful of people that do what you do, and there's only a handful of streamers that have people like yourself on the team. So from a Twitch point of view, the extra work to do that type of stuff is only going to be utilized by a percentage in the singular digits of its user base. And so that's like their answer to that. While I would love all that stuff to happen, hearing that is the excuse every single time. I'm like, you're right. I understand. I get it. I understand why my editors can't go and do X, Y, and Z. It's because people don't have editors like I do. They do it themselves. So that's why they have access and editors don't on the channel. So yeah, that's kind of like me putting on the Twitch hat for a second to explain that type of stuff so that people don't jump on the hate train of Twitch, which people are prone to do.
It was one thing I will say is that props to the dev advocacy department at Twitch, especially John Balava. He's done a lot of work reaching out to developers in the last couple of years or so. So there's actually I spend a lot of time talking to John, and whenever there's anything that I need or I would like, I normally give it to John, and he will go and talk to the relevant teams internally so they're aware of what we would like. It's like when channel points came out, I wrote a huge long Google document of things that would be useful. I then circulated that document between other developers on the Twitch developers Discord, and we then sent that document to John, and he's given it to the channel points team. So hopefully they'll look at that document and go, well, here's what they would like. Let's see if we can go forward and actually give that to the developers to play with. So, excuse me. Hopefully we'll be seeing a lot of advancements, and Twitch has got a lot better in the last couple of years about talking to developers, third-party developers on the platform. So hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more improvements soon for all the things that we'd like.
Cool. Zeke, any questions, follow-ups? I've kind of got my own, but I don't want to diverge on my own path. So by all means,
Go ahead.
Barry,
Mine are just big, dumb, general questions. Like,
well, I don't think those are dumb. First off,
they're interviewer questions. Like, what do you foresee as the biggest change Twitch needs to make?
Yeah.
On technically to be a better site for everyone.
I'd love to hear that answer.
It's a tough one. Back in V3, the one of the earlier versions of Kraken, the reason that that API was so good was because that API was used to power the site. Twitch has moved away from doing that because it's better for their internal services to just work differently, so they use a different API internally to what's presented to third-party devs. So the problem really that might come up is that they'll do something that is the way that it works internally makes it completely impossible for it to be presented to third-party devs, and that's the only thing that's really going to pop up to get in the way, I think.
Makes sense. For you, like what has been, I guess, like the biggest steps forward that they've done? Things that have been like a positive aspect.
The dev advocacy team reaching out, and actually being proactive, talking to us.
Sure. For you, what do you think is the one thing that you've contributed to the most of kind of like the Twitch ecosystem that you look back and say like, hey, I did that, or hey, I helped with that, or hey, I started that momentum?
That's an easy one. Well, there's two things.
Okay.
I'm one of the only non-staff mods on the developer forums, so I'm usually the front line for dealing with spam that pops up on there, which isn't very often. I've normally got the developer forums up on my screen in a corner somewhere, so if there's a forum post pops up, I'll just jump straight on it and help out if I can. So I'm always trying to help other developers. And the extensions platform has just been so good for making things better for streamers on their Twitch pages.
Makes sense. For from a
And having and the other thing with the extensions that I was in there before they went live on the platform, so that the moment they did go live, I already had two extensions released and a third one nearly done.
right, right. From I guess streamer's perspective, even though you're not one, I'm sure you have a lot of streamers talking to you at any given day, with OPG and the people that you work with. What do you think is kind of like the most requested or most asked thing, that Twitch could do that would make a lot of people happy?
Oh, that's a tough one. The ability for third-party developers to accurately track people who are actually watching the stream. Because right now the only thing that we've got is it's called the viewer list, but it's not the viewer list, it's whoever's in chat.
Right. So if someone's not logged in, then they don't show up. Is essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have just chat open via a Twitch chat client like Chatty or just normal IRC and just not be watching the stream. So, for example, with currency systems, you'd actually want to reward people who are watching the stream, which is what Channel Points does. You have to be watching the stream. But for like Cohh and Sacril's currency systems, you only have to be in chat.
Right.
Whereas the big thing that would be preferred is we'd like to reward people who are actually watching the stream, but we can't because we don't have that information.
Gotcha. Is that something that they've been open, or has there been a dialogue about any of that, or just?
It's come up now and again.
Yeah.
It's been back and forth, but there's a lot of other things going on internally, like with just getting Helix up to speed before they want to take Kraken away.
Sure. Sure. I think a lot of people, when they think of developers and third party tools on Twitch, the first thing that comes up is things like Better Twitch TV and FFC and all of that. And then the follow up is Twitch has not implemented something of their own. What's your take on that?
It's normally it's would be nice if some of the things that are in these third parties extensions were on the platform, but a lot of the things that they have to think about for features, they spend a lot of time talking to their legal team, and the legal team probably says that they can't do such and such a feature on the actual platform. So that's the only reason certain features don't pop up. It's like a lot of the big thing that people suggest using these extensions for is for filtering chat to either add or remove terms. So like Cohh will always say, "Oh, we've got a giveaway going on. If you want to remove the enters from chat, go install FFC and go and blacklist FFC."
Right.
But the other thing was with that particular example is that you can also use these tools to highlight terms as well as blacklisting terms. So someone who is a nether do well may want to go, right, I'm going to go and deliberately highlight certain terms that may be racist or homophobic. And the moment one of those gets posted in chat, I will then immediately repeat it, which is a way to attack the chat. So
Right.
that's probably why, for example, that feature isn't on the platform, because they need to talk internally about whether is this a good fit for the whole platform as a whole, because you could probably even use FFC or BetTwitch TV to block mods messages appearing. And if you've blocked a mod and the messages are not being seen by that viewer, or they forget that they've got such a block in place, how is that chat viewer supposed to know that the mod's talking to them saying you're breaking your chat rule, you're about to get timed out, if they've used FFC to disable that message from the mod appearing?
Makes sense.
So that's it.
Yeah.
That's the main difficulty that Twitch probably has with a lot of features that are in FFC and Better Twitch TV.
I think.
Yeah, and a lot of features that they put in, like the Better Twitch and the FFC shit, is stuff that makes Twitch money. Like would you like to hide bits? Like Twitch is never going to fucking do that, you know.
Sure.
And there's tons of stuff like that. There's ad stuff, there's bits, there's the revenue streams like that would be affected by that. I'm sure they
The other
they got to
thing that
skirt
they
around.
both do is they both provide a way to get extra emotes in the chat. Extra emotes are great, but if you think about the fact they also have to do animated emotes, if you've got an entire screen full of animated emotes, as well as the video trying to stream, that's a lot of extra graphical load being put onto everyone's computers, which is why I don't think GIF emotes are a particularly good idea for that reason, because if your entire chat is full of everyone doing rare lethos, then that can lag people's computers, stopping them being able to watch the stream.
Sure. It's, we often talk about the Twitch as a whole and Twitch as a business and streamers and all that, but it's super interesting to hear a developer's point of view and all this stuff, because more than likely it's the actual reason. Whereas we're just like, well, I think it would be this. No, I mean, what you're saying makes perfect sense.
Have I broken any NDAs yet? I've not had any angry messages going, you've broken an NDA, so I'm doing fine right now.
I mean, yeah, we're not streaming this. You've already canceled all the streams, right?
What NDAs? I haven't signed any NDAs. What are you talking about?
Exactly. I want to circle back to extensions, because we've had a lot of conversations about extensions and about what they can and what they can't do, and Twitch is very vocal about them being kind of like the next big thing. But we haven't really seen an extension that is like the next big thing yet. There's been fun tweaks that we've done, or fun tools that we've created with the role play stuff. Like Amazon Blacksmith is one of the bigger extensions, I would say. However, it lags streams more often than not. Not that many streamers use it. Certain streamers have their own extensions, but they're pretty basic. What do you kind of see the future of extensions being, and what do you think is the next step forward for kind of the evolution of that?
I'm not sure. It's like going back to Blacksmith for just a moment. One of my pet hates. Blacksmith is a video extension. It lets you link out to Amazon, but there's like 4 extensions that can do video link outs. I can't make an extension that will link out, and it's like so annoying.
Right.
So it's like, why? Anyway, the next big thing for extensions, I have no idea. As a developer, my job is to implement streamers' ideas. I don't necessarily come up with them myself.
Right.
So I'm not sure what the next big thing. The Borderlands extension was really good because it had the interaction that went in both directions. So you had viewers being able to pick to put something into the streamer's game, and the viewers are also being rewarded. So that worked nearly as good as Tarkov drops, where Tarkov drops you had to watch the stream and you get a drop. But with the Borderlands 3 extension, it sort of was drops, but viewers got to pick which drop they wanted from the contents of the red box.
Right. So like another step, yeah, which was nice.
Yeah. Like more extensions that do interactions like that are more, that give more back to the viewer. So it's like the roleplay extension is very read only. You can go and look at anything. So the next thing that we could probably figure out with roleplay is figuring out a way to have viewers get more involved with something that occurs in the show by presenting that in the extension.
Right.
So not just, you wouldn't necessarily just go and spam chat with something. But of course, chat works on every platform, and extensions haven't quite made their way to console yet. But then, of course, console has its own UI interaction problems without plugging in a keyboard or mouse.
Yeah.
So the next big thing for extensions is probably going to be figuring out how it can make the stream that you're watching better, because not a single extension is going to make all streams better or be the next big thing, because it's always contextual to what's going on the stream. So it's the next big thing I think that's really going to be big for extensions is going to be a show that has a really good extension that integrates the two things together in a way that works for the entire presentation of that stream.
What, from your point of view, what are, we talked about hurdles and issues. What's kind of like the biggest hurdle with extensions that you find? Is it, linking out to other sources? Is that's not allowed? Is it, Twitch kind of overseeing that stuff and saying like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, and there's too much limitation, kind of impeding on the idea of progress and all that? Or
Also, super quick before we go in, we're talking about the applications below the stream in your profile. Extensions are the small, like mini apps that plug into the different parts of the website. For those that have been asking in chat,
or the video
ones
player,
that are over the stream. So
or the
if
video
you
player.
actually
Yes,
hover
they're both
over
on the screen or in the profile.
Yeah.
if you hover over our faces, there comes up a little box with our profiles and our Twitch follow buttons.
Yes.
I made that. Chat didn't. So chat's lying if they say they made it.
All right, you heard it first here.
I made that. Smilers in chat.
Yeah.
No, I made that.
Barry didn't make any of this. He's just a suit.
It's
here.
just
He's
another
a plant.
meme. Don't believe him.
Yeah. He's just a plant. All right, guys. No, but like, what do you think? Is impeding progress for extensions in your eyes?
There are certain rules in place which say that you can't do certain things. Like there are some things that we'd like to do that we can't do because of the rules in place. Some of the rules make sense and some of the rules don't. It's like to use Sacral's extension as an example.
Yeah.
Since that extension existed since the start of extensions, it was basically the tag store where you could go in and you could buy. Not buy is the wrong word. You could exchange your channel currency.
Don't say buy, Barry. All right, you can't buy anything in extensions.
No, if you use bits in extensions, you can't say purchase.
Right.
You have to exchange bits for something else. So, Sacral's extension was always you exchange tags in exchange for a ticket which enters you into, I believe you would call it a raffle, that you may win a prize. There's no money involved, and there's no other way to get a ticket to enter the raffle. But it's not really a raffle. This because I'm not a lawyer. My words will just be like,
no, this is
this
fun.
Isn't right,
this is fun for me because I'm just enjoying you try to jump around the legalese of all this.
Your Honor, if I may, Your Honor, we know time equals money. So if it takes time to get into the raffle, it's just like money.
It's like we tried to push an extension update like a couple of months ago where we totally rebuilt the extension, but it still had the tag store in it. And Twitch went, you can't have the tag store because exchanging time watching a stream in exchange for a tag, which you would then exchange for an entry to a raffle, can be seen as gambling in some countries.
Right.
Or words to that effect. I'm not a lawyer. Quick play the quick legalese bit that you have.
Yeah.
No, it reminds me of how it works in Japan, where you get like these prizes in exchange for like playing these games of chance, and then you take prizes completely off premises to somewhere else, and the person that you take them to knows like that came from that place, and that's worth that much money.
Yep, and then they give you money.
I will give you that money as a pawn shop.
I saw that like 2 days ago in a documentary, and I was blown away by it's like in the pachinko machines, right? Like you get a prize, and then literally right next to where you got said prize in another building separate from that building, you walk up and hand them the prize, and then they hand you real money. And it's completely illegal, but no one stops it because it's
Just a little side note, pachinko parlors are fucking wild, man. They're weird and loud and crazy.
Yeah. It was a James May in Japan is what I'm referencing. If you are at all curious on Amazon, our great
Prime.
overlords.
Hashtag not an ad.
Yeah. But go ahead.
The end result is that the tag store is no longer in the extensions, which means that for people to use the tag store, they now have to leave Twitch, which should defeat the entire purposes of the extensions platform, which is to keep people on Twitch to do their interactions.
Right. Yeah. So
that's where we are with that one.
In some sense, how much does not necessarily, and this is more just like I guess not referencing Twitch Legal's team, how much does just a lawyer get in your way as a developer?
Not too often, thankfully.
Okay, that's good to hear.
It's the only time that it's happened recently is the pushback on updates to certain extensions. It's like, well, we had a pushback on the next version of Hype Meter which we totally didn't steal from itmeJP in any way, size, shape, or form. But
Clear that up.
apparently,
Yeah, glad we cleared that up.
we tried to push an update to it, which adds more features, more specific features that were needed, and
Yeah.
it got bounced back because it uses Twitch emotes in the extension. But it's like, well, I was paid by Twitch to build this extension. Surely I'm allowed to use Twitch emotes in a Twitch extension that Twitch has paid me to build.
Like global
So-
emotes is what you're
The global
referencing?
emotes, yeah.
Oh.
It uses, it literally just says you could use vote yay or vote nay, for example, in the config panel, and I believe that's not allowed. But it's a dumb rule,
Yeah.
but it's a rule that makes sense because technically the extension is using someone else's IP, which is why it's not allowed. So, for example, I do use Cohh's emotes in Cohh's extension, but it's Cohh's emotes in Cohh's extension, so it's perfectly fine.
He owns it, yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to use the global emotes because those belong to Twitch.
Right. Makes sense.
So we have a little fun trying to get certain things through reviews sometimes, like Sackles extension again. We put in a soundboard that you could exchange bits to play a sound, not purchase, exchange.
Yeah.
And
I follow.
We pushed that update through, and I'd left one tiny little tooltip somewhere that still had the word purchase in it, and they had to bounce the extension back to the beginning again because it was like, I've left a purchase in there.
Yeah.
Just like you're building a basket to check out the usage of a sound. It's like, yeah, it's just purchase. It's like, oh, bollocks.
It tells you the importance of words. Zeke, go ahead.
Well, I wanted while we're got the time, I want to ask you about the mod view.
Yeah.
If you had a chance to look at it, or God, I hope you have complaints about it because I want to hear them.
It's actually not too bad. It is good for stream. It's good for mods to be able to easily see the things that are relevant to that channel. It doesn't do everything that would be useful, but that's limited by the APIs that Twitch may have, or they've put this out and they're waiting for mods to give more feedback about what they want to see. So we're waiting. As a mod myself, I don't use it because primarily when I am modding, I'm modding for Cohh, and we have our own mod view, which I call mod face, and mod face has a lot more extra bits and pieces, which is more useful for what we do on the channel because it ties in directly with all of the things that we do on the channel. So we have a currency system, so you would be able to click on someone in some part of the mod face, and it would say, here's the recent chat history, here's any name changes we may have on file, here's their current currency values, here's the list of purchases that they've made, and it's all there in one place. At the moment, mod view doesn't have any way for us to integrate. So the extensions platform, it would be really good if there was a way for us to have a way to put a widget on the mod view as extensions developers. But the other thing that would be useful is that the auto mod queue is there. It would be great if extensions were able to put something that's been submitted from an extension into that queue. So then a moderator can okay or deny that thing. So like for the example of Sacral's extension with the exchanging bits for sound being played, you can leave an optional message. That optional message appears on Sacral's overlay, but it may need to go into the auto mod queue for it to be moderated first. But right now, you can't do that. You have to have another window open with that in. So mod view are waiting for third parties to be able to actually integrate with it. But for a start from Twitch, it's not actually a bad tool. I can't actually find a fault with it myself, other than the fact that there's a couple of bugs with it that I've reported. But aside from that, it's okay for entry-level streamers to have as a mod access tool. But one of my favorite sayings is that custom always wins. So eventually you'll end up getting a custom mod view that does exactly what your stream needs it to do. So if you want me to build a custom mod view, contact me via my Twitter, and we can get talking for the low price of.
I would think from a developer's perspective, custom always wins. From a lawyer's perspective, they're trying to stab the word custom to death. they don't want any of that, right? Is the legal team and developers team, are they just constantly doing this and just butting heads nonstop over pretty much anything? And not necessarily in Twitch, just in all aspects of development. Yeah.
I think that's generally how it goes. It's like you'll end up spending. It's like a lot of actual companies. They'll give what's called 10% time, where you can spend 10% of your daytime hours working on something else, which may be used by the company. That's how a lot of Gmail lab stuff came about, is from people's 10% time at Google.
Right.
A lot of the things that are done on this 10% time might be something that the lawyers turn around and go, yeah, you can't actually do that. But it's always the end. It's always the end thing. It's like you may end up building this really great feature and you finish building it, and then it's like, yeah, you can't do that because of such and such a law. It's like with the GDPR that came out in the UK recently, no one in the UK, pardon my French, fucking knows how to implement it. And it's like, in my old day job, I was doing e-commerce for an arts and crafts shop. GDPR came in, and there was like meeting after meeting after meeting. It was just like, what the fuck are we supposed to do here?
What's GDPR?
No one. It's the General Data Protection something or other. It's the privacy law that's supposed to protect users.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's done in a really weird way, and all the wording on it is odd, where no one actually knows how to do it. It's not as bad as the cookie law was. Cookie law, yeah, all websites use cookies, and now we need to tell you about it. And if you
Yeah.
don't accept it, we can't store a cookie telling you that you didn't accept cookies. So every page load, we're going to tell you that we want to use cookies, because we can't store a cookie to say that you don't want cookies.
Yeah. It's fun.
It's
fun
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like someone just said in chat, written by lawyers for lawyers.
Right.
Lawyer lease is fun, so you end up just going building something, and then you wait for it to go live, and then a lawyer turns around and goes, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, that's 10 hours down the drain. Now what?
I mean, at least legal's keeping legal in business, you know? They're looking out for, for each other there. I guess.
Well, Twitch is keeping me in business, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah, I mean, keeping all of us in business in that sense.
Yeah, I am yet to branch out to Mixer or Facebook streamers or YouTube streamers, but if there's any of those that need work doing,
yeah. I mean,
I hear the YouTube API is utter ass.
without turning it into a full-on platform war, I think that is one thing that has been and will continue to be unique to Twitch, is the idea that there are, more tools. The idea of drops on Twitch, I still don't know why, like Mixer or YouTube. Like, imagine YouTube if it had drops, it would be astronomical viewership compared to something like Twitch.
Crazy.
It'd be absurd. It's one of the best things that has been developed from a developer mind on the platform, and the fact that Twitch utilized it is great. It's super awesome.
Like, extensions, in theory, extensions is a one-upping of Mixer's Mixplay, because Mixplay on Mixer is basically, you can have a button panel below the stream. You can do a lot of cool stuff with that button panel, but it's literally just a button panel. It can't be anything else.
Yeah.
Extensions is sort of the next step up, where developers can do pretty much anything within the rules. It doesn't just have to be a button panel.
Gotcha. The last question I have, because I know we're a little bit over, how much do you think the other platforms are driving development on each other's platforms, if that makes sense? Like, if Mixer launches something new, do Twitch and YouTube try to match that with their own development, and vice versa?
Not too much, I don't think. I mean that everyone's probably directly keeping track of what everyone else is doing, but the thing with a lot of the companies that are building things is that they're normally stuck in 6 to 9 to 12 month plans. They've already formed an internal team to build a project. Like the ModView team has probably been working on that project since it was announced at last TwitchCon. So they've been working like over 12 months on that project. And then once that has reached a certain level of doneness, they'll then split the team up again, and they'll move part of that team onto a new project, and that is when they'll then decide to pick another project that may be a feature from one of the other competing sites. So it's all about agility, which is one of those buzzwords that you hear in tech companies.
Yeah.
A lot of the large ones like Twitch, Facebook, and Mixer, they're all stuck into at least 6-month sprints where they come up with a feature, they build it, and then they go, right, what should we build next? But they can't go, oh shit, Mixer's come out with such and such a thing, we need to copy that right now, because they can't go, well, shit, we need to take people from 4 different teams to form a new team to go and build this feature, which then slows down development on the features that they were working on. So they don't want to move people around too much. So that's why all of the streaming companies, they may seem to be slow in coming out with new features, but they're not. They're just stuck on this 6-month cycle, or however long it takes for such whatever it is they're working on to build.
Yeah. Makes sense. Zeke, Cohh, any final questions or
Yeah,
comments?
oh.
We need to have Barry back on, essentially, is what I've got from this segment. But yeah,
That'd be good too. Yeah.
Would a fair label for you to be, would it be programmer? Would that be fair?
Are you sorry? What was the question?
Would a fair label for you be programmer, coder? What would you like prefer to be?
I like to label myself as DevOps. DevOps stands for developer / operations. So I do a lot of back end stuff.
Okay.
I like to play with bare metal servers. Like I have a server just behind my desk, which is probably making a whining noise in the background of my mic. I literally have a server right there. I have 2 laptops on my desk as well as my gaming machine, and literally I spend all of my time doing DevOps.
Okay. So what is the biggest misconception, or I guess like someone comes to you and they ask you, hey, can you do this for my channel? What do you do and like don't you do? Like I'm sure there are people come up to be like, hey, can you make this animated thing for me? You're like, no.
I'll be like, yes, but you'll have to give me the art and then I can do it for you because I'm not an artist.
Okay. That's my question is like, what do people ask you to do that you don't do? Like what areas do you like?
Your mechanic to paint your car.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a short and sweet answer, but yeah, that worked out.
No, I just don't know. Like, do you get asked to do stuff that you don't do? Or do you do most everything?
No, it's like I'm currently in talks with Strippin, who's been on the show before, to build something for him. And it's like, yes, I can do that, but I can't do the art. And he's currently commissioning someone to do the art, and I'm waiting for the art to turn up before we can move forwards.
Yeah.
It's sort of the same thing with something that I've been negotiating with the other day. They've already got all the art ready to go. We just need to finalize the deliverables, and I can go and build it. And then that's a new Twitch show coming up soon, which I can't talk about.
Yeah.
Redacted. Yep. Redacted. I'll have to edit this file now. Thanks, Barry.
Well, I just mentioned there was a show. I didn't give you any other details about the show.
It's true. We'll let the lawyers handle it.
I mean, yeah.
Cohh, any final questions, comments before we depart?
It's been awesome. Yeah, I love having Barry on. It's a pleasure to put a face to a name. I'm sure I speak for, although I've seen him before, but I know that many people out there that just like Barry said, thousands and thousands of people know who Barry is. But unlike us, he doesn't really get a chance to kind of show his face a lot of times. So, it's been great to kind of have Barry on the show. I hope to have him back in the future. And yeah, it's been great. It's always great to kind of take a peek behind the curtain.
Absolutely. Zeke?
I did have one final question, and I've asked this of artists when I asked them to do, or offer them like money to do like make emotes or banners or whatever. How do you broach the subject with a developer like yourself? Like, is it hourly? Is it per project? Like, how does that? Because that's a technical thing that I would like to know.
It depends by project, basically. Some projects, it makes sense to do an hourly rate. Other projects, it's time and materials. And then other projects is, you want XYZ feature, I will charge you this amount of money to build it. And then generally there's aftercare to go with it. So a lot of the things that I scope out for people it'll take this long to build, it will charge you this much, and then there's so much extra for 6 months support afterwards. But it does vary project by project and who I'm working for.
Okay.
And how much?
So if I were to approach not you, it would be something like that they would probably know like ahead of time. They'd be like, okay. There's a lot of, I mean, honestly, a lot of artists are like, I don't know what do you think is fair? They'll like they'll draw me something like, what do you think is fair? And I'm like, I don't know what's fucking fair.
I mean, that's that's negotiating shit 101. That sucks.
Yeah, it depends which industry you're dealing with, because creatives, it's a lot more freestyle. Whereas with developers, it's like, well, you want me to go and build something that logs your chat and it's searchable. Okay, it'll take me 4 hours to build the chat bot, and it'll take me 2 hours to build the search interface, and another 6 hours to tidy it all up, test it and shit. So then that's like 12 hours of work. I might go, okay, well, for that, I'll charge you a certain amount of money. Let's just say I'll charge you $20,000 or whatever. Or I'll go, okay, well, 12 hours at $90 an hour, I'll charge you that instead. But it depends on a project by project basis. It can be difficult at times, because it's like, well, I know it will take me roughly this long, but I need to charge this amount because I think I'll probably have a problem like 5 hours in on such a thing. And then you don't want to end up saying, I'll charge you this amount of money for the whole thing, and then you end up spending 4 times the amount of time on it because you ran into a bug that you were not foreseeing, or there's an API that doesn't work as they expect. So it's one of the difficult things, but it does vary project by project.
Cool.
Very cool, man.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, we'll definitely have you back for a much more than an hour sometime in the future, for sure. Maybe we'll bring on...
Whilst chat's freaking out, I'm just making up numbers.
Yeah, they're much higher than that. Yeah, they're 20K is low, for sure. Yeah. Also, I'm paying Barry an exposure right now. So.
Oh, yes. The best form of payment, for those that don't know.
I have some exposure bucks down here.
Uh-huh. Let's see them. Let's see the exposure bucks. Nice. So much exposure money. There you keep
Exposure
fanning yourself.
Wait, hold on a goddamn minute. What the fuck are you doing with American money?
I've been to every single TwitchCon, and this is the US dollars that I have left over from every trip.
Okay.
There's no point changing them back to pounds if I'm going to be coming to the US again.
Yeah, makes sense. Just keep them handy.
Sure, makes sense.
Let's do some shout outs and call it a show. Zeke, you want to start us off?
You bet. What's up, everybody? My name is Ezekiel III. You can find me at or / Ezekiel_III on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. If you want to give a follow or subscribe to any of those, thank you. Thank you to Barry for being on the show again, man. It's just unfortunate that your name is Barry. It's so fun to yell, Barry, Barry. It's so fun. Thank you for being on the show. And thank you for being an informative guest. If we had more notice that you were going to be on the show, I would have had better questions, I'm sure. Thanks, JP. But if you want to find me, I'll be on. I won't be live today. I'm going to help. I got IRL stuff to do. But tomorrow, maybe more Doom if you guys want. Let's see.
Do it.
Like we'll do another broadcast Doom and see how it goes, business wise. But after Doom is over, though, we're going to jump into The 13th Doll, which is a fan-made sequel to The Seventh Guest and The 11th Hour, which I'm very much looking forward to. If they're anything like those, should have a lot of fun. So that's what's coming up for me. And that's all I got. Thank you.
If Zeke had a better memory, he would have remembered that 2 weeks ago we said Barry was going to be on 2 weeks from that show. So who's at fault? I don't know. Maybe both of us.
But in this new pandemic world, like it's all topsy-turvy and...
Go do some shout outs for us.
There is always big thank you to JP and Zeke for being awesome co-hosts, and a huge thank you to resident Twitch guru Barry for joining us today and giving us a peek behind the curtain. That being said, my name is Cohh. Hi, I'm going to be maybe finishing Final Fantasy VII Remake tomorrow. If not, then probably Friday. Going to be diving into X4 Foundations. Going to check the updates on that. Also going to be revisiting Fallout 76 as a charity reward stream this weekend to see how this new Wastelanders update is, and lots of other fun stuff coming down the pipeline. So I hope you join us starting every day at 8 a.m. ET. And also, for those that don't know, we're now doing some cozy streams in the evening. Currently working on RimWorld. Maybe jumping into Oxygen Not Included. Maybe some Animal Crossing, and kind of see how that goes. So as always, thank you guys for watching. And if I don't see you before then, see you next week.
Awesome stuff. Barry, do some shout outs.
I have a shout out card.
You've got a shout out card. You didn't even have to build it yourself.
Well, I'll be building them eventually. I've just not got around to writing the code for
That's
it yet.
true. That's
You've
true.
made it, Barry. You've made it.
Yes. I was going to show you my cat, but she appears to have run off somewhere. But yes. Hi, my name's Barry Carlyon. Said it's said with an I, but spelt with a Y, like a brum brum raw. And you can catch me normally on Sacriel stream before Cohh goes live, and then when Cohh goes live, I'm on Cohh stream, and then after Cohh's done, I'm usually on JP stream, and every now and again I'll just appear in Zeke stream.
Yeah, he's a happy pop in.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
Multitasker.
He's all over the place. He's worldwide. Barry is Mr. Worldwide. That's how it goes.
Very worldwide.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's very English. He didn't for years. I called him Barry Carlyon.
Oh, he didn't correct
never
you?
corrected me.
I don't think I've.
Oh, me, dude.
Yeah,
I don't think I've said his name correct once. So he doesn't correct me ever. I just get other people to say his name for me now.
I've had it most of my life. I'm just used to it.
Yeah. Have people always had a hard time with your name, or are we just three idiots?
Normally, I tend to get Carlyon the most because it's Lyon, the place in France.
That's
but it is a French derivative, so
yeah.
Pretty sure that's what I called him for about 4 years. Yeah, Barry Carlyon. Barry Carlyon.
Then you met him at TwitchCon for the first time, and he said,
"Oh, he
actually,
didn't correct me then. First
Oh, he
time. Didn't. I mean, I tell you, man. Just
story. It was at the first TwitchCon. I was stood next to Cohh. We were both wearing Cohh beanies, and someone mistook me for Cohh, even though I was stood right next to him. I go, "No, I'm not Cohh. He's Cohh."
That's true.
Literally, and I'm just looking at the guy.
Well, you probably had, if that was the first TwitchCon, you guys probably had similar beards back then. Because Cohh, your beard used to be much longer.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. So I could see that. That makes sense.
Pretty good.
So,
Pretty good.
Cool. That's it. We're done.
Oh, JP, do some shout outs.
I'll do them after the thing. It's fine. I'll do them when we go to the end card. It's not a big deal. Because I'm not going offline. I'm just going to continue streaming. What's going on next week? I don't know. I think just normal show. Keep an eye out on our Twitter, twitter.com/dropframes for when we'll be doing the Final Fantasy VII remake show, whenever that is. Right now, we're waiting on Maximilian Dude to finish it, and he's definitely a handful of days away. So it'll be sometime next week, I'm sure, especially with how many schedules there will be to balance and all of that. So we will let you guys know when that show is going to be happening.
Yeah, it's not on Wednesday.
Yeah, not
or
on
at least
Wednesday.
not during. Yeah, not a drop frames. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll have a normal drop frames next week and talk about everything we've been playing. We kind of got a little bit of a break now without massive games coming out, so things will kind of slow down.
Now we begin the backlog.
Yeah, the backlog continues. So we'll figure something out. We'll talk about stuff next week. So have a great rest of your day. Wait.
That you wanted to ask me about a puzzle in Half-Life Alyx.
Oh,
Maybe I'm
a
wrong.
level. Yep.
Did you finish, Alex?
No. I thought there was a puzzle. You wanted to know how much time it took or something.
Oh, the puzzle, JP. Remember the
Oh,
ones that you
yeah,
told,
yeah. Did you do the puzzle with the like neon graffiti before you meet a certain interesting character?
Yep.
How long did that take you?
Yep. Not too long, because
Did you find the box right out of the gate?
I saw the thing and then I went, oh, there's a thing, and then I was like, oh, there's got to be some correlation around here, and then I went here. It's honestly, I credit it to doing tons of point and clicks,
Sure.
and like that kind of shit. So I was like, oh, this is right in my wheelhouse. I know exactly what to look for.
Yeah. I think then as a collective, I spent the most time there because I never saw that fucking box that you have to open for about
Dude, if you
15
didn't see
minutes.
the box, you're SOL, man.
I was
Yeah,
walking
I mean,
around like trying different perspectives and saying like, oh, there's 3 in the squares there. Maybe I'll go try that, and typing it in and then do shit. So yeah, that was a 20.
I haven't got to the puzzle yet. I've not had time to play.
Ah, well, I didn't. Fuck.
Don't worry, we have not spoken.
Barry, do you have an index?
Yeah.
No, I have an Oculus.
Oh yeah. The last thing we'll say, if you have an index, hit up Zeke. He's looking to pay for shipping to and fro so you can play some Alex in it. So hit him up. Twitter.
Zeke3tv@gmail.com if you have an index you want to rent or borrow.
Yeah. There you go. That's it for the show. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks again, Barry, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.